mean, like you mentioned, AI. We've really embraced AI at Avon Grove, where we have an AI agent that responds to our special education teachers, and our procedure manual is baked into it. So if they have a
Hmm.
question about, what's the process for transfer students out of state, instead of emailing or texting my colleague Nicole or I and waiting for us to be able to respond, they can get that answer immediately and
Immediately. Yeah.
consistently. And we know it's not from ChatGPT, it's not
Right.
from, some kind of open source network. It's from our system and our network knowing that they're going to get the same answer every time,
Every time.
So,
Right.
and that's
Yeah.
saving, time and money for us in the long
Hmm.
run. So
Yep.
I agree. The improvements in technology are definitely going to have a lasting impact in special education.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Dr. Mike Ubbens. Mike is the Supervisor of Special Education at Avon Grove School District, and that's in West Grove, Pennsylvania. Mike, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
So, Mike, tell our listeners a little bit about your journey and about maybe a little bit about Avon Grove, because it's spelled like Avon, and you already told me, like, well, it's Avon for a reason. And I was like, oh, good. So tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. In terms of my journey, um, I had a non-traditional pathway into special education. I went to college for political science and had the idea of going to law school. My dad essentially made me get a secondary ed minor so I could teach
Oh,
social
wow.
studies. And I ended up in law school for a year in New York. I did not enjoy law school. I didn't find it fulfilling. I had already gone through student teaching, and missed, being with kids. And in the back of my head, I was also thinking, am I going to go through all of this and rack up this debt and then end up teaching? So
Mm-hmm.
I finished my first year, went back home. At that time, it was difficult to find jobs in education. So I ended up in alternative ed, where they hired me on the spot and they said, wear shorts and sneakers, you're going to be running. And that was the truth. And
Wow.
spent a year in alternative education. I loved it and was really getting interested in special education through that experience, and ended up getting my master's at Lehigh University. And they have programs where they'll pay for your master's if you work in certain programs. And they had a community program where you would go out in the community with your clients. I did that for a year, and then I ran the group home program that they had at Lehigh for my second year getting my master's. And a lot of the individuals were adults with severe disabilities
Mm-hmm.
who
Mm-hmm.
were institutionalized. There's a place called Penhurst out here in Pennsylvania. It's now a haunted house, but before
Wow.
it was an asylum. And a lot of the individuals that I had with me, uh, they went in speaking as kids and came out nonverbal. Another one had his top row of teeth pulled out because he was biting. Someone else had cauliflower ears because they gambled on them fighting. And it really, for me, turned into a passion of advocating for individuals with disabilities. Having seen what institutionalization looks like on the other end of it. I think,
Heartbreaking. It's
yeah.
absolutely heartbreaking. Yeah.
Yeah. And people look to institutions as a solution, which
Mm-hmm.
they should be, but a lot of times they're not, and they end up worse off than they would have been to begin with. So that's something that's really been a main principle for me moving forward in my career, is advocating for those individuals to be included in their communities, in their schools, and trying to protect that right that they have. So that's a
Because
little
it's a
bit about me.
person. There's a person. Sorry, I just want to make a point here. That's a human being with a disability, not an animal to be treated how you want them to be treated. Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah,
yeah. Anyway,
yeah,
yeah.
no,
The
absolutely,
disability
and
does not define the person for sure.
no, no, and that was a great lesson for me to learn firsthand through these individuals that I truly got to know so well. And most of the individuals that I worked with were nonverbal. and
Mhm.
realizing that communication comes through in so many more ways than just verbalizations, and
Mhm.
behavior is a lot more than what it looks like on the outside. um so that's really been my big why.
Mhm.
um and in terms of Avon Grove, like you said, it's based on the combination of Avondale and West Grove in southeastern Pennsylvania. We're about, depending on where you are in the district, 10 or 20 minutes outside of Delaware. Um,
Okay.
about 5,000 total students. We have 4 buildings, and our special ed programs have definitely um, been growing in the last 5 years, where we've been lucky enough to create a transition program for 18 to 21 students in house, where we have a simulated apartment. We've been able to create our own job coaching and job exploration program in the community. We have 30 community partners now where kids go to
Beautiful.
work. We started off with 3.
Mhm.
So it's been really awesome to see that grow and see the students really flourish. I was just today in a meeting where we had a student tour the program with her parents, and they asked about job placement and what's the job placement when the students leave with us. Right now in Pennsylvania, you can stay until you're 22, and actually the day before you're 22, you can stay, and then you have to leave that day. It's
Really?
it's
Wow.
caught up in court, so we'll see what happens. But their question was, what's the job placement situation here? And I usually answer that, and one of our teachers answered it. Our transition coordinator, said, I'm really proud to share that our placement is 100%. And we have students leaving who have either competitive employment or volunteer opportunities if that's what they want. And, we've really been focusing on creating a sense of belonging for our students and creating an inclusive community. And we are able to do both of those things with the program, which has been just awesome to watch. And then to see our transition coordinator take the reins of that conversation versus me was,
Mm,
that's what we want, right? Is all of
right.
our teachers to step up as the leaders. And it was just awesome to see. So it was a proud moment to start the day today.
Yeah, congratulations. That's amazing. And congratulations on 100%. Wow.
Yeah.
Like I said at the beginning, it's like these are and I've had conversations with other educators about transition and how incredibly important it is, but that piece of this is a person. This is not a disability. This is a person that has something that makes them different. It doesn't mean that they're not a human being, excuse me, under that disability, and having helping the community to see and understand that, as opposed to what you experienced, and I've experienced it as well. Just the ugliness that institutionalization does is just, and yay, good for you. That's what a testimony to the leadership that you have given your team to show them that they can grow a program like that. So that's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's my colleague Nicole and I, we've really worked hard to, find the things that our teachers love to do and let them do it. Right. And
Mhm.
they're going to be the happiest teachers that you're going to have in your district if you can do that. And in terms of like the community having all these partners, it's been great to see and hear from parents who, used to have trouble finding places to take their kids where they were welcome, not just tolerated, but welcome. And,
Mhm.
creating all these partnerships. They're working there. The parents know this is, a safe and comfortable place for us to go. And as we grow, I'm hoping that the community just becomes more and more inclusive. So that's not something any parent has to worry about, because
Mhm.
I have 3 kids on the other end of the spectrum. Our oldest is 7, and I can't imagine feeling like, I don't know where to go for dinner tonight with our family, or have to go to the grocery store. And, those are thoughts that a lot of our parents have to have, and they shouldn't have to do that. So hopefully we can get there at some point.
One of the things that I love, I'm a speech therapist. I will never stop being a speech therapist. But one of my most favorite things to do, and it's probably going to make me cry. Good grief, it's a crying day. Um, when I see a family out and an opportunity presents itself, because it does. If you give yourself the ability and the just pay attention, to have that conversation, not with mom, not with dad, with that person, just, greeting them and saying hello, and how are you? How's your dinner? How are you having fun? Or, whatever it is, whether it's in the mall or it's at a restaurant or whatever, just because that person needs to know that there are people out there that see them and want to have a conversation with them. And it's never been the wrong thing. Not one
Yeah.
time has it ever been the wrong thing to do that. And I love doing it. I absolutely love doing it. And then my kids, you do that, and you do it in front of your spouse, and you do it with your kids and with their and they it just it grows from there. It just is something that is so it's just so critical to human beings, to the world that we live in. To love on
And
others matters.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So you have lots of knowledge when it comes to Pennsylvania and education and how it's set up. And can you give us some insight into what you've learned over the years about Pennsylvania and the educational system there?
Yeah, I mean, we are very fortunate. We're in Chester County, Pennsylvania, which is one of the excuse me, more affluent counties in the state, which allows us to have more resources available. I've had experience also in the Lehigh Valley, and it's interesting to see the difference in services. Not really school based, but more home based services or county based services and what that looks like. But I have to say, overall, Pennsylvania has been pretty strong when it comes to special education. I think they're leaders in a lot of ways in terms of, transition planning and programming. We have Patton is one of the statewide organizations that provides consultation services to school districts, and we are an autism initiative school, which means that they come out, they have a coach that will come out and help our autistic support teachers work with students in the classroom with verbal behavior and implementing their programs with fidelity. So we have two classrooms at our K1 building that are model schools through that autism initiative. So we have a lot
Neat.
of resources that are available in the state to be able to guide our teachers and support our teachers. So I think overall we're very fortunate to have that support, and it goes long way with our families too.
Are you struggling to keep speech therapy fully staffed or tired of high turnover? You're not alone. At Lighthouse Therapy, our speech language pathologists are seasoned professionals, and most of them have over 16 years of school based experience. They're not just qualified, they're consistent, relational, and results driven. We offer 3 flexible delivery models: virtual therapy, hybrid therapy, and in person therapy. It's speech therapy done right for you and your students. Learn more at lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together. So, with your programs that you're doing, what do you tell schools that want to get something like this up and go and running, but they're always worried about funding, because that's a how and 30 partners. How did you grow that to that level?
Yeah, I mean, the 30 partners that, like I said, we had teachers who said they wanted to do this, and we were able to say, okay, let's do it.
Uh-huh.
And we worked together to create, work through some of the legal ramifications of what we would need to have an agreement with these partners and what kind of liability we would have to take on. That's the job that I took on. And then we essentially did cold calls, me and the transition coordinator, for a
Oh.
year, where we both kind of modeled to each other going to Walgreens or the mom and pop pet shop, or, hers chip company is around us, and just reaching out to them, going to their offices, talking to management or the owner, and, talking about like, hey, this is something that's going to be beneficial for both of us, right? We're going to get our kids um, hands on experience in a field that they're interested in, not just, to say, hey, they stock shelves,
Mm-hmm.
which is great, but not everyone wants to stock shelves. Not everybody wants to be a greeter. There are other things
Mhm.
that people want to do, right? So our transition
Yeah.
coordinator, Krista, does an awesome job of matching students. And our sell is, look, like, we have someone who's interested and they're going to get hands-on experience. We have a job coach, so they're going to be the teacher. That's not going to be your responsibility. Your responsibility is telling our job coach and the student what you need them to do, and then we're going to do it, and we're going to do it for free, right? And
Mhm.
staffing is an issue. No, that's not a secret to anyone in any industry.
Right.
So if we can free up your staff to do the job they're actually being paid to do, and we can do this for you, maybe you'll find that, hey, like, I want to bring this student on as an actual employee and pay them. And that has worked out with us a number of times, where it was just a good fit. They wanted to hire them. And we had other cases where students weren't following the rules and they had to fire them. But they
Mhm.
did that with us in a
Yeah.
way that was safe for the student to fail and learn that. And then we'd find something else for that student. But having that experience now versus when they are not with the support that they need is
Mhm.
huge for that student. So through the cold calling experience, I think she and I both learned the way to do it. And then using our networks to grow the program. We have an appreciation breakfast at the end of the year, which is, I think,
Oh,
most of our
nice.
favorite events,
Mhm.
everyone's favorite event of the year. And, parents get to see their students talk about their programs. Even if they're using a device, they go up and they talk about their program and what they love about the program and what they loved about who they worked with. And I think word of mouth is a big part of it too, because there are parents that own businesses or parents that work in a place where, like, hey, we could have someone, this would be a great fit for so and so.
Mhm.
So that's really what got from 5 years ago, 3 partners, to today 30. That's how we got there. um and like I said, we because it's just our school district, we have the benefit of being able to say, what's your interest, and let's find that for you. Like, a student
Mhm.
was interested in plants, we found a nursery that was interested in taking someone on. And we've had a lot of success with that, and we're growing a support network for the district and also all these students and families.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. So what would you say right now is your biggest challenge? What is the biggest thing that you're struggling with right now?
Funding is definitely
Mm.
probably, and I don't know if that'll ever change or it has ever changed. We've been very fortunate in the county. We're still fortunate. But looking at our budget and figuring out, like, how we're titrating personal care assistants, PCAs, our one-to-one aides, like, how are we fading them out? How are we determining when a student needs one? We, really have been supportive of adding one-to-ones in, and now
Mhm.
we're seeing the financial impact of that. And how do we address that, responsibly as stewards of the district, but also advocates for the students and making sure that it's what they need.
Yeah.
So funding is a big one. We would love to have more job coaches. We'd love to have more district vans, but we're we're pressed to find ways to economically get those students to the job sites that they need,
Yeah.
without using
That's one
more
of the
than
things.
what we
Yeah.
need.
Yeah. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No worries.
One of the things that I'm excited about for the future, and I don't know if I think we'll see it in my lifetime. I'm 58, so but who knows? Is the self-driving cars are coming. There, I've seen them and others in California, specifically when I was visiting out there. But the amount of access that is going to give to people with disabilities is huge, absolutely huge. And, having a person who cannot, whether it's a young person trying to get to a job or an old person trying to get to a doctor's appointment or whatever it is, I'm really hopeful for that there will come a time when that is something that will open up. AI is also going to, opened the world up for us as well. But that access, that physical access to be able to get from point A to point B, there's nothing worse. And I've worked in skilled nursing as well. Giving up your independence as an adult is the hardest thing as an adult to do. Whether you understand it or not, it's something that you just see. And so giving these kids the ability to have a job, but then the ability to get there when they can't get there on their own. Especially you live in Pennsylvania, it gets cold. It's
Yeah,
probably cold right now. It's
it is. Yeah.
February 3rd right now, 2026, and it's cold. So, they can't walk. So giving them that access, right now it's like, what do you have? You got the bus, right? I mean, or walking or not. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so,
I think, technology is a huge part of it. And when we talk about funding, technology is going to be a big part about that too, and helping
mhm.
address some of those areas where, we would otherwise need funding support. I mean, like you mentioned, AI. We've really embraced AI at Avon Grove, where we have an AI agent that responds to our special education teachers, and our procedure manual is baked into it. So if they have a
Mhm.
question about, what's the process for transfer students out of state, instead of emailing or texting my colleague Nicole or I and waiting for us to be able to respond, they can get that answer immediately and
Immediately, yeah.
consistently. And we know it's not from ChatGPT, it's not
Right.
from, some kind of open source network. It's from our system and our network knowing that they're going to get the same answer every time.
Every time,
So,
right. Mhm.
and that's
Yeah.
saving, time and money for us in the long
Mhm.
run. So
Yep.
I agree. The improvements in technology are definitely going to have a lasting impact in special education.
Yeah, and gratefully so. I'm grateful.
Yeah.
There's lots of things that you can say about technology, but that is an area where it's like, yes, I like that. I like that so much. And we've got the same thing. We're working on it here as well, and it's exciting. It's exciting new, and I didn't know. It's so funny because we did one of the things that I strongly believe in is goals. Goals are not goals if you do not write them down. If you say you have a goal and you haven't written it down, it's not a goal. Write the goal down and then you have a goal. They're back there on my wall. The goals are there right behind and there's all kinds of stuff all over my computer. I am a strong advocate of that. And we use the book called Traction. Gino Wickman wrote it, and there's the entrepreneurial operating system that we use here at Lighthouse, and it's all about helping your teams to have goals and to work on goals and to make sure. And even early on, even before I knew about that particular book, thank you, Mark Wallenwein, who's my director of marketing. He told me he was already using it when he started here. And he's like, Janet, we really need to read this book. And so I finally did. And I'm like, oh, we need to do this. I was already doing annual goals and my own personal goals, and stuff. But it's just so important to have those things. So all that to say, sorry, I went like down a
No.
rabbit hole here. Um, we had put on our 10-year, because I do 1 year, 5-year, 10-year goals, 10-year pie in the sky. What do we want to do in 10 years? And one of them was have our own AI system. And that was we put it on our 10-year. It's now in our 1 year
Wow.
because it's
Yeah.
just going that fast.
Yeah.
AI is just moving. Things are moving. And I have amazing people. That's the other piece of it too. So
Of course.
so I
Yeah.
love hearing that you guys are using it as well, because
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
yeah.
it helps everybody, right? And we're really trying to focus too. If we're going to improve efficiencies, we're improving it for everybody. I'm not taking something off of your plate and putting it onto mine. We're
Mhm.
taking off all of our plates to move forward. I've really tried to focus on, you mentioned annual goals. That's something that Nicole and I are focusing on, is like, if we're going to improve our efficiencies, we're not overfilling anyone's plate, right? We're going
Mhm.
to make sure we're taking it off of everyone's so everyone can operate more efficiently. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Like, that's great that you took
Yeah.
it off so and so's plate, but now you're not able to do what you need to do. And who's
Mhm.
going to help you at that point? So,
Right.
when we talk about those things, if it improves everyone's efficiency, that's a win.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So, Mike, where do people go if they have questions? Because I know there are people that'll have questions about what you've done and how you've done it. Where do they tell them a little bit about where to go to find Avon Grove School District? And I'm sure there's probably a link somewhere on there for you as well.
Yep. Yeah. avongrove.org is the information about Avon Grove School District. If you're looking for me, I also have a LinkedIn page. It's just Mike Ubbens, my name. And you can find me on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody and collaborate.
Yeah, I love that. The educators, they love sharing their knowledge. I love that about nobody's putting a lid on what they've done. So thank you for that. And I'm going to ask you one last question. If you could
Sure.
fix anything, fix one thing in your world, your job, not money. We know everybody needs more money. What would that one thing be? Never have to worry about it again.
I would give teachers more time.
Ah,
I
good
don't know
one.
how to do it, but if I could, I'd give everybody more time. That's what everyone asks for, and it's the one thing we just can't make
You
out of
know,
thin air.
I think AI is gonna help. I think
Yep.
AI is gonna help with that. I think that's one that I've seen it. I've seen it do amazing things, get stuff done. Even the podcast, we use AI to package our podcasts, and it's um, 2/3 of the time faster than it would have
Yep.
been otherwise. So it's
That's
a
what
good
we're
one.
hoping. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's I think that's the big one.
Well, Mike, it's been a pleasure to have you on Brighter Together. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and just your passion.
Thanks, Jana. I appreciate it.